Goes. All right. Here's the big one, Zach. The moment everyone has been waiting for.
Mm, mm.
Illinois at Indiana. Game opened at 4.5 in favor of Indiana. Game is set at 52.5 currently. The line has since moved up to 5.5. So not everybody, is loving the. Is loving Illinois like Ari and Andy and Josh Pate are. People seem to be more on the side of Indiana in this one. We'll see how it plays out, but I'll be honest, Zach, this is one of the games this week where I honestly could go either way on
Yep.
this one. Two ranked teams, number 9 Illinois, number 19 Indiana. I believe this is like the first time these two teams have been ranked and met in football since like 1950, I think was the
Yes.
year, which is just pretty
Seven,
pretty insane. What do you say?
75 years ago. That's
75 years ago.
insane.
Illinois won that game 20-7. Both teams undefeated entering into league play, and you got some people saying that this is an elimination game. That you look at the rest of their schedules, and that there's just not that many wins left for either team if one of them loses. I don't necessarily see it that way. If Illinois loses, I think they could still lose to Ohio State and get in at 10-2 with wins over USC and Washington. If they get that, we'll see, and then we'll see if Indiana as well. They lose to Illinois here. They still have at Iowa, at Penn State, at Oregon. And I think if you lose here, as long as you win two of those, I think they can beat Iowa. I think they could beat either Oregon or Penn State. I wouldn't necessarily, well, I don't know. I shouldn't say that yet. I don't know if I'll pick either of those to happen, but I think both teams still have a path. Even if they lose, albeit much more difficult, but both teams still
Yep.
have a path if one of them loses.
Yeah, I don't think I, both Indiana and Illinois have games on their schedule that if they win them, they're back. They're right back in it. So I don't see like this isn't Notre Dame to me where it's like you look at the rest of their schedule and you're like, oh, they've got no big games left outside of USC, right? They have no games, whereas Indiana and Illinois both. I mean, Indiana has multiple. Like Indiana has at Oregon, they have at Penn State. Like I think if they win one of those and lose to Illinois and finish 10-2, I think they have a pretty strong case.
hmm Yeah, I mean, if Indiana say if they lose here, say they lose here, if they beat Iowa and Penn State, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If Illinois loses here, like I said, if they beat USC and Washington, they're still in the playoffs.
Hmm.
I mean, obviously you got to beat everybody else other than Ohio State, and other than
Yeah.
Oregon on the Indiana schedule, and that's difficult to do. Nobody's saying that's for sure going to happen, but so I don't. Suffice to say, I don't think this is an elimination game, but I do think it makes the path to the college football playoffs significantly harder
Yes.
for whichever team does lose, especially
Yeah.
because, as we know, SEC bias and
Yeah.
how much they love their SEC over there.
I will say one other thought to that though. The fact that Notre Dame's 0-2 against their only good opponents aside from USC, that frees up a spot.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think you're right. Let me ask you this, Zach. Is Illinois the second best team that Curt Cignetti will face in the regular season at Indiana since coming on? Like last
Like
year,
to this
this
point.
year, yeah, to this point, is Illinois in the regular season the second best team that Curt Cignetti will face or has faced? Sorry,
It's a good question.
because you're looking at Ohio State last year. They're not
Yeah,
as good as
Ohio
Ohio
State's
State last
one.
year.
So the only team, and they're different profiles, but I think you can make a case that Michigan, their defense in particular, made them more dangerous than this
See, I
Illinois
don't think
squad.
so. I
I'm
think
saying you
Illinois
can.
this year. Oh,
I'm
go ahead.
saying you can make a case. I'm not
Okay.
saying I agree with
Well,
that.
who would you say is better, Michigan last year or Illinois this year?
Well, more complete, it's Illinois this
Okay.
year.
Yeah. So this will be take out at Notre Dame because they were in the playoffs. Regular season, this will be the second most difficult team or second best team, I guess I should say, that Kirk has faced at Indiana.
Yes. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. All right, so let's talk about this game. Obviously, Illinois is the type of team that they don't necessarily need to, go crazy in all the yardage totals. They don't need to throw for 400 yards to win a game. We saw this against Duke. They were able to turn them over. I don't think that's going to happen in this one. I think Indiana is going to look to put up yards, and they're going to look to put up a lot of them. But I don't think that they're going to be as apt to turn the ball over against Duke. However, if you remember, first part of the season, Indiana faced Old Dominion, their most difficult opponent so far this season. They had a hard time scoring in the red zone. So can Indiana put up a bunch of yards, get into the red zone, but then stall out? Because Illinois, last game against Western Michigan, and in some of the other games, they were doing pretty well in the red zone, stopping teams in short yardage situations. That defensive line is looking better. James Thompson, Curt Neal, those guys. The other guy, I can't pronounce his last name, but they're looking better on that defensive line, getting more push. I think the red zone is going to be a really big place that decides this game. You look at Illinois, some of their slow starts, some of their issues with that. Indiana, some of their issues early on in the red zone. Does that come back into play? It's going to be very, very interesting. Do you have any thoughts on that, Zach?
Well, yeah, I think red zone will be key for sure, which I'm not sure which team that favors, because I think certainly Indiana had woes against Old Dominion, but how much do you chalk that up to first game, getting some of the jitters out? I am concerned about Illinois and their offensive line and their run game. Like, you look at their
Aiden Lawfrey will be back for this one. I forgot to mention that. I apologize. Aiden Lawfrey, Dylan Rosiak, Xavier Scott, Justin Boeck are all cleared to play. The only one is Jaheim Clark. Looks like he has a good chance to play, but Bret Bielema did not sound as confident in him. And then Lee Beebe for Indiana is out for the season. Sorry, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, so I have concerns. I did not realize that Beebe was out, that he's done for the year. That's really sad.
Beebe has their only turnover on the season. So if you want to add to the turnover conversation here, the only guy that's turned the ball over for Indiana will not be playing.
We're just gonna skirt past that.
Yeah.
We're just gonna skirt past that. No jokes about season-ending injury.
Illinois has not turned the ball over once this season.
Yes, but this will be the best secondary that they will have faced.
Yes. I do think D'Angelo Pons, obviously very, very good. One of the best cornerbacks in the nation. I don't think they're going to target him very much.
No,
but they're going to have to at some point, because he's going to be on Hank Beatty a lot.
Yeah. Well, and Farrell is back there as well, like at safety. Like they good guys. All I think are a pretty good secondary. And actually, I was just thinking, this is a really good secondary game for both teams, right? You were mentioning the Scott brothers. You're mentioning their secondary as well. So this is where I feel like I am wrestling, and going back to the red zone conversation. Like, Aiden Lawfrey's good, but I've just not been super impressed by Illinois' run game and the push that they honestly haven't gotten. Like, I didn't think they ran the ball all that well against Duke, and I don't think Duke is all that good. I think the Duke game is very misleading, right? So, like, I think they deserve a ton of credit for beating Duke on the road by 26. Duke outgained them by 19 yards. They averaged 7 yards per play. Now, granted, they threw the ball all over the yard on them. They didn't rush the ball well, so the run defense was actually pretty good in that game. But a lot of the scoring and a lot of their success came because of turnovers. Some that were forced, so you got to give credit there, but some that weren't necessarily. Like, a lot of it was just kind of mental errors by Duke. I still think Illinois wins that game if they don't turn the ball over like that. But I think that data point, I think it's easy to look at that data point and skew it almost too much for the Illini. And then I think with Indiana, it's really hard. It's hard to tell how good they are, because they haven't played anybody. Like even the Old Dominion data point, it's like, we talked about this on Sunday. How good is Old Dominion really? Because they blew out a Virginia Tech team that just didn't want to be there. So do we actually know how good Indiana's offensive line is? Do we actually know how good Fernando Mendoza is? I think they're good, but I also it's just a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, my thing is I don't think that Illinois is going to be able to play the same game that they played against Duke. And I think that is Illinois' best formula for winning. Just play disciplined football, let the other team make mistakes and take advantage of it and go out there. I mean, your point about the turnovers and stuff, 4 of those turnovers were fumbles. So, I mean, a lot of times you don't just get fumbles by accident. Illinois was doing a good job of punching the ball out and doing stuff. But I think that Indiana's running backs and stuff are going to be more disciplined. My concern for Indiana in this one is if Illinois does get pressure on Fernando Mendoza, we've not really seen him had to use his mobility a ton. What does his ball protection look like when he is on the run? We've seen it with Dylan Raiola where he kind of gets loose with the ball, and that's been one of my things with him. Albeit when he's not, he's very good in the pocket. But anyway, this is not a Nebraska preview. What I'm saying is like some quarterbacks who have the mobility, they can be a little loose with the ball sometimes. We haven't seen Fernando Mendoza have to be super mobile, so we don't know, but that I'm sure that's something that Illinois is going to be, trying to get as much as possible. And you have some good pass rushers here for Illinois. You got Yakis, you got James Thompson Jr., you got those guys. But Indiana has some incredible pass rushers as well. Mikhail Kamara has not had the production this season, stat-wise, that you would hope. I mean, I think he has 1 sack on the year. In these first 3 games, you would like that to be more. But he is winning. I mean, you watch the games, nobody can block him. It's just teams are more aware of Indiana's pressure and what they can do to teams now, so they're getting the ball out quicker. For me, it's going to be huge to see if Illinois adjusts and gets the ball out quicker and if they're able to hit any big plays doing that on this Indiana secondary. To me, the big plays might be the biggest factor in this game because if you get a big play and you score on it, 47-yard touchdown or something like that, you don't have to go into the red zone. And I think both of these defenses are going to be stout in the red zone, and they're not going to give up a whole lot. In fact, my score prediction has several field goals in this game because I think if either team gets into the red zone, they're going to have a hard time scoring on the other defense with just how stout they are and how good they are. And like I said, like you said, Illinois' offensive line has not been spectacular so far this year.
Yeah. AJ Adams coming in with a pretty great stat here. Mendoza had 4 turnovers on runs last year at Cal. That's good, AJ. That's a good stat. I agree with you that I think the big play is going to be important. My counter argument, maybe not counter argument, but my counterpoint to that, I think the team that can run the ball to set up the big play is going to be the team that wins the game. I think if you can be 2-dimensional on offense in this game, I think you win. Because I think it's going to be hard if you're 1-dimensional to be able to hit big plays over the top, because teams are going to then key on your defense. They're going to force you to get the ball out quick. And so I think to that point, I think the team that runs the ball the best is the team that's going to win, because the team that runs the ball the best is going to be able to go over the top of play action.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point. Whichever team has the most success running the ball is going to be more likely to win this one. The great equalizer will be the turnovers. Does either team turn the ball over more, or force more turnovers, that kind of stuff, and then what it looks like in the red zone. Overall, great quarterback play on both teams. Illinois' offensive line not been great, but I almost kind of see that as a positive a little bit for Illinois. I know a lot of people are going to look at this and be like, oh yeah, Illinois' offensive line, they're susceptible. I don't think Bret Bielema goes into this game just allowing the offensive line to continue what it's been. Maybe the coaching doesn't work out, but boy, Bret Bielema is too good of a coach to see the slow start and the poor offensive line play for 2 straight games and be like, oh yeah, that's fine as we go into one of our biggest games of the season. And make no mistake, this is one of the biggest games of the season for both these teams. Not just because of the playoff implications, but honestly because this is a prove it game for both these two teams. Both these two teams are being doubted nationally. I don't think Indiana should be doubted nationally. I kind of understand why Illinois is to a certain extent, but I don't think this Indiana team should be doubted nationally. I think people should believe in them. Their only 2 losses were the teams that played the national championship last year, and they're on the same trajectory that they were last year. Struggled a little bit early on, fixed those mistakes, and by the end of their out of conference, they're firing on all cylinders and look fantastic.
Yep.
So
Totally agree.
So, all right. Well, prediction time here, Zach. I will let you go first. How do you see this game playing out, and what is your final score prediction?
So I'll just start out by saying there is a tradition on this show. If you're new to our show, Illinois fans rejoice when I pick against them because I'm typically wrong when it comes to Illinois. They actually hate it when I pick them to win. So I'm going to make both fan bases happy tonight. I think Indiana has the better offensive line. I think they have the better running backs. And even without BB, I think Black and Hemby are.
Martin ran well too against Indiana State.
Yeah.
Martin ran well.
Yeah, Martin. I think they have a little bit better of a room. I think the line is better, and I think that's going to allow Mendoza to go over the top to his plethora of weapons. And I think it's very close, except late, where I think Indiana is winning by a point, and they get the ball back after a score, and Indiana ices it with a touchdown to make it 31-23.
All right. So Zach is on the Indiana train. So I'll be honest, my thought process of this game did sway after last week. And if you watch yesterday's show, or this morning's show, I guess, if you're listening here on YouTube, if you're listening on podcasts, yesterday's show, I did pick Indiana to make the playoffs because yesterday I was thinking, I think Indiana's going to win this game. But as I have done for some time now, I've swayed back and forth. Honestly, I could see this game going either way. I'm going to pick a team, but I don't feel super confident in that pick because I think either team could win this game.
Yeah.
I think I have to go back to what I knew at the beginning of the season, which is that Illinois does a great job of winning games close at the end of the year. I do think that Indiana would benefit from scheduling a more difficult team in the out of conference to kind of prepare them for some of this stuff, right? In Illinois, I understand Duke is not as good as maybe some people thought they were, but they were battle tested in that game by coming back and by getting ahead and winning by more points and going into the fourth quarter with that game being a game. And this is a team that's done it time and time again in Illinois. Now, maybe this is it. Maybe this is where their luck runs out and they do not win a close game at the end of it. But I see this being a game where Bret Bielema doesn't let the slow start continue. And if it does, I think their defense bails him out. And I don't think he allows the offensive line to struggle as much as they have. So I think this is going to be a fourth quarter game. I think at the end of it, there is something that happens, whether it's something on special teams. Hank Beatty, we've not talked about him on special teams enough. I'm going to pick Illinois to win this one, and I'm going to pick them. What was my exact score prediction? 23-20. I think both teams are pretty field goal heavy. I think both teams, get into the red zone, but kind of struggle and stall out a little bit. And I think Curt Cignetti doesn't go for the field goal at least once, and it comes back to bite him. And Bret Bielema goes for the field goal, gets it, and Illinois gets the win. But I'm not super confident in it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's be real. I think I sealed Indiana's fate when I picked them. So I think you're in good shape.
I don't know. Maybe not. I've not been great with picks this season. You're the one with the better picks. We forgot to mention that at the beginning of the show. Right now, you have 43 points on the season. I have 36. So.
Not that it's not a competition. It's not a
Yeah,
competition.
well, no, it is a competition. I want to beat you. I'm competitive. Gosh darn it. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I'll tell you, I am not, like I said, I'm not super confident in this one. I'm gonna pick one way or the other because I don't like the cop out that some people do, where it's like, oh, I can't pick one. Here's just how I think the game will go. But honestly, this is a game where, to me, if it's close in the fourth quarter, I think Illinois gets the win. If at the end of the first quarter it's Indiana 17, Illinois 3 because of a slow start, I think Indiana runs away with it. It's just, I think the slow start is going to be huge in this game if the slow start happens for Illinois, and then if they're able to hold Indiana to some points as well.
Yeah. Don't look now, but Max is going after you now a little bit here.
That's okay. I deserve it.
Yeah. He just, for those of you on podcast, he's Max Ellis, good friend of the show. He's saying that JR is siding with his new colleagues, Andy Ari and Josh Pate, which, to be fair, it's not a bad idea to side with them most of the time. They're pretty good guys.
Yeah. I will say one of these teams is going to make the playoffs, I think.
Yeah. I think there's a good chance. Yeah, even though they weren't in my projections.
Yeah. I don't think there's enough room for both of them to make it. Unfortunately, the SEC and the ACC is probably going to get two teams. I mean, if the ACC doesn't get two teams, maybe you get both of them in there. But right now, you've got like 5 teams in the Big Ten that are all fighting for 1, maybe 2 playoff spots. And they're Illinois, Indiana, USC, Washington, and Nebraska.
Yeah. Just Trojan Fights asking, what am I missing? JR is joining on 3. Yes, he is joining them as well as staying here. But
yeah, nothing will change on this channel. I'm just doing a Talk Illini podcast for the Orange and Blue News with Sonny Verma, which Sonny was in here earlier. What did he say? Sonny said, great preview, guys. JR, some very close to being fired, by the way. Let's go Illini. Yeah, I had to keep my job here, guys, okay?
That's why you picked Illinois.
No. I think they will win. I think they will win.
Yeah, okay. I will say this. This is one of those where I think both teams are. I think Indiana's underrated. Like, they're ranked 19th in the AP. They should be in the top 15. And I think I think Illinois, I think if Illinois loses, they should not drop lower than 12 or 13. And I think Indiana.
No, both these teams should be top 20 teams after this game. I mean, unless one of them just absolutely, lays an egg or something like that, both these teams should still be top 20. But they probably won't be, whichever one loses. I mean, if Indiana loses, they'll probably be unranked. And if Illinois loses, they might be in the top 25.
If Illinois or if Indiana's unranked, if they lose, I'm going to. We're going to have an emergency podcast.
They don't have wins. I mean, they obviously have wins, but they don't have wins that the national people are going to want to see. You and I know they should still be ranked, but the national people are going to be like, well, who did they beat?
Yeah. Who did Notre Dame beat? Nobody. Yeah. So shut up.
They'll probably rank Notre Dame above Indiana.
No.
Honestly, that's probably what they'll do. Stupid.
Yes.